that are needed within those roles. Once you do that, then you can start to say, these are the types of skills I need in the workforce for my specific department. And here are the qualifications, the minimal level qualifications required for that, and so on and so forth. And then you start to create specific development plans for those individuals. So when you're going through your hiring process, it makes sense for your department. It makes sense for your team. And this is where it's really important to it's really important to have a good leadership team, because when you're developing your workforce and the skill set of said workforce, it's more than just saying, this is what a quality engineer does. This is what a software engineer does. It's understanding as a whole, this is what is required of that role. But then once I put some specific person into that role, what are some of the gaps that exist within their qualifications to execute that role as an independent associate in our department? And if there are any gaps that exist, creating a uniquely specific training plan to upskill them to where they need to be to operate as an independent entity within the department. So there are a lot of different elements to consider. Another concept to consider when it comes to developing your workforce is a lot of companies do performance reviews. Me personally, I'm not a huge fan of performance reviews because they can become biased. So as a leader, you have to make the decision that this is the training plan for my associate. These are the qualifications that are needed. Here's how I'm going to assess that they are qualified and they meet the criteria that I'm expecting. And then you have to be very, very, very clear and be open in your communication as far as what is expected from you as a manager, as a leader, with said associate. For example, there could be a lot of things that could be misunderstood. So that clarity, those things being written down, measurable goals and objectives set by both you and the associate so that they understand what's expected of them. That level of transparency and clarity helps them to create, helps them to understand what it is they're doing so that the work they're creating is of the highest quality. It's repeatable. It has goals and objectives that make sense to the organization. And the output of the work that they're doing is going to ensure that whatever it is you're expecting of them as a leader, as a manager, is going to be of the highest quality all the time. It's repeatable. If they decide to transition out of that role, it's well documented so that the next person that comes into that role clearly understands, here are the goals and objectives that we've set for this role that makes the most sense for our departmental goals and objectives. And we're executing them not only well, but we're executing them continuously and repeatedly. That way our customers are satisfied. And when you have high level of customer satisfaction, whether it's internal customer satisfaction or external satisfaction, that's building a great rapport and reputation for your company, which essentially is going to make your company more profitable. And those things take time because you as a leader have to truly understand, what are your company's goals and objectives? What is it that is the purpose and intent of your company? And then delve that down into what is the intention and the purpose behind our department? What is it that what is our output? What is it that we're delivering? What is it that we're producing? And then you help to ensure that Someone, every single role within your department is ensuring that those departmental level goals are being met and being addressed in their daily work activity. That way, you don't have to get yourself to a point where you're quote unquote preparing to be assessed or things like that. A lot of times you hear in the automotive industry and in the manufacturing industry, we have to prepare for an audit. We have to prepare to be assessed. Well, you don't have to be prepared to do those things when those activities are happening on a daily basis within your department, right? Let's say, for example, one of your corporate level goals is to minimize scrap and waste within your within your organization. So going more specifically within the production department, you may set a goal to decrease waste, decrease scrap by 5%. So let's say you have a production associate or a team leader whose responsibility it is to check scrap at the end, in the middle of their shift and before the end of their shift. So they're doing 2 checkpoints of the amount of scrap, and then they're root causing the issue of why the scrap happened within their processes, right? So if every team lead is doing that, they're reporting that to the production supervisor, that's being reported to the plant manager, and it's being addressed at the start of shift and at the end of every shift. Now there is a team of people and there are various individuals that are addressing the issue of scrap in their daily activities throughout the entire organization. That way, we're not just looking at scrap as an issue on a one-off situation. We're looking at scrap as an issue throughout our daily operations, throughout the way that we're approaching our company and operating on a daily basis. So those are the things, those are examples in which you develop your workforce accordingly, because you understand what it is they're supposed to do and the intention behind the job they're to execute, because you understand the intention and the purpose behind your department and in your organization. And those are the things that lead to a more effective and efficient organization where you're operating in a more effective way. You're seeing better results. And that's gonna bring a huge impact to your workforce and to your working environment, because you're now seeing that chain of command where all the different teams are working harmoniously together. Because for the example with the production associated with the scrap, we know that one of the outputs for the production associate is to root cause the issues of scrap. They're to document those things and to report those accordingly. And that's a direct import to all of the leadership that's coming into their next shift, so they can handle things accordingly. That gives input to the quality department when it comes to some of the issues that they may be seeing. They're like, okay, well, we may see that may also be an input to maintenance. We may see that a lot of the issues that are happening when it comes to some of the scrap is the machinery itself. So we may need to prepare from a maintenance standpoint. We may need to prepare to do some repairs on some of the machinery, to schedule that outside of whatever we've already created as a production. As regular maintenance, we may need to do some additional maintenance. There may be a design issue with the engineer to where there may need to be some retooling because one of the tools is wearing down. The HR department may determine that the HR department or the production leadership may determine that, okay, or even the quality department or process improvement department, however your organization is set up, may need to determine. They may say, hey, the way we are manufacturing or assembling this product, we may need to change that up due to some new material or something like that. So we may need to take a look at that. The materials department, they may need to reevaluate how they're handling their material, because they may see that there's some additional wear and tear that's happening on the material, the way they're handling it or been handling it. So it gives you more visibility to the way that your organization is operating when you start to break down your company level goals and objectives in that regard. It gives a lot more visibility to your organization, which helps people to operate more harmoniously, because there are things being brought to the forefront as far as the input to one department and the output of that department, the type of people you have working in your department. There are a lot of things to consider when it comes to properly and accurately developing your workforce, which has a direct input to the way that your organization functions effectively and efficiently when it comes to your daily operations. So those are some things that I wanted to touch on as far as bringing more awareness and understanding to what workforce development looks like. A lot of companies think that making uniquely specific development plans is challenging and it's difficult. It's really not. There are some things that as an organization, as a department, as an industry, are necessary. When it comes to software engineering, when it comes to quality engineering, when it comes to process implementation, there are some basic things that need to exist. But there's some basic things that need to exist for your industry. But when it comes to things that are necessary for your specific company, for your specific department, there are some niche things that are specific to your department, to your company, and to that individual, where there may be 75% of things that are just basic qualifications. And that gap of that 25% is where you make those training plans that are uniquely specific to your department or uniquely specific to that individual. And those are very simple things to uphold, to very simple things to complete. You may have a role in a position where it's expected for someone to do a lot of public speaking. But if that individual is shy or that's a weakness in that regard, that may not be something that you throw them into doing initially, but that's something that you build them up into upskilling and learning how to do over time. So those are some things to consider as a leader, as a true leader, as a powerful leader, when it comes to properly developing your workforce, so that you create the most optimal work environment for your individuals. And that's going to have a direct impact on the effectiveness and the efficiency of the way that your company is operating on a daily basis. And those things are going to have a positive domino effect on your company's reputation, the satisfaction that you're seeing from your customer, the quality of the product and the services that you're producing, and the safety of the services and the products that you're producing. And essentially, it's going to have a positive upturn on your bottom line, on your profitability as a company and as an organization. So that's what I have to share today on the subject of workforce development and operational effectiveness. If you have any further questions, please, we have about 10 more minutes on this platform to discuss. But even further than that, Quality Resolution Systems is on Facebook and is on LinkedIn and Twitter. Just look us up, Quality Resolution Systems LLC. Myself, Kiara Thomas, I am on all social platforms. You can reach us. You can reach us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And also you can reach us via email at admin@qualityresolutionsyst.com. For any additional questions, check out our website, qualityresolutionsyst.com, if you have any additional questions. So I'd like to open the platform for any questions that we may have. I'm not sure if there are any questions for anyone. Let me know. I'm available to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Hey, Kiara.
Hi, Kiara.
Hello. Hello.
So, hi, Kiara. My name is Hari, and when you are talking about quality, is it real, related to the, software quality, or, we do have, mechanical quality also, right? The production, manufacturing quality inspections. So, do they follow the same process, or, are they, fundamentally different? Do you have any thoughts around that?
As far as product quality, or?
Yeah, product quality and then software quality.
Yeah, I mean, they go hand in hand. Obviously, when it comes to hardware quality, software and hardware are gonna have a direct impact on one another. So you can't consider making improvements to one process and not consider making improvements to another. So if I'm going to make improvements to the way we approach hardware product quality, mechanical product quality, is going to affect my processes as far as my software product quality. So I have to take a thorough look at that process as well and what that looks like. For example, I'll give you a usable work example. If a customer is requesting that I change, when it comes to the hardware, if a customer is requesting a product change to that hardware, there is a software affiliation to that hardware, right? So what impact would that hardware change have to the software that's controlling it or giving it instruction, or that software that's communicating with it? 9 times out of 10, the answer is there's going to be some impact. So then the question becomes, what impact does that have on the overall system that I'm producing? And so those are the types of questions that you have to break down and ask yourself as a department, as a company, as an organization. And then you have to make the determination, does that change call for me to make a huge change and impact to the software that I'm producing? Is it a minor change? Is it a major change? Is that going to impact this sprint, this delivery, so on and so forth? Those are the types of questions that you have to ask yourself as an organization, so that you're giving the customer the best answer. And you also want to make sure that when the customer is asking for those changes, if it's outside the original scope, you want to make sure that you're on the up end of that if it's going to be some type of cost change or some timing change, that you're making the customer well aware of that, so that they make the decision, hey, this is going to be a timing change, it's going to be a costing change, this is going to change our original schedule. Are you guys willing to commit to that? And if they are, you present that information to them accordingly. Now, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Kiara.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, hi, Kiara. So this is Nilesh.
Hi, Nilesh.
Yeah. So how can the organization and employees can enhance the employee efficiency?
There are many different ways to do that. I gave a couple of examples in the presentation today, but the best start to that is to really, really, really sit down and understand what your organizational goals, objectives, mission, vision, what those elements are. Because once you start to break those down and you understand the intention of your company and your organization, Then you can start to delve that down deeper into the intention of your departments. You can have your inputs and your outputs so that you can set the most proper and effective and efficient goals of each department so that things are working with one another instead of against one another. And then you start to create those job roles and responsibilities in your organization. Now, to get more detailed and structure into that, I would suggest a consultation call with myself so we can talk about what that would look like for your specific organization. My information is available for us to have an offset discussion on what that looks like, because we would definitely go through a specific process. As I mentioned, the QRS framework, we would go through what that would look like specifically for your organization, but just at a high level, understanding the intention behind your company, your goals, your missions, your vision, that will help create those more detailed, specific goals and objectives. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah, I got it.
Awesome. Any more questions? Nilesh, do we have any more questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Anyone have, they can ask.
Okay, well, if there are no more questions, I thank you guys for your time. I really, really appreciate this opportunity. Again, my information is available for you guys to have further conversations about the subject of workforce development, organizational efficiency. And if you want to talk further about what that looks like for your organization, I'm here. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely we'll reach out to you when something we need help in terms of anything.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great one.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.